Welcome to the Feria TechCast. We'll bring you all things science, engineering, technology, and innovation. Today we are joined by Mark Fox, a true polymath whose career spans from serving as a Space Shuttle Chief Engineer to becoming a pioneering inventor in health tech. With over 35 years of experience as an entrepreneur, scientist, and engineer, including time as a hot air balloonist and building his own airplane, Mark embodies a lifelong passion for exploration and systemic problem solving. He is now the founder and CEO of Resona Health, where he has channeled his deep engineering expertise into creating the Vibe, the world's only pocket-sized pulsed electromagnetic field or PEMF device. This portable tool uses extremely low energy frequency to support general wellness, offering a drug-free approach to challenges like pain, anxiety, and sleep disorders. So, Mark, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Okay, Mark. So, let's start at the beginning. Your career journey is quite incredible. I mean, from Space Shuttle Chief Engineer to pioneering a pocket-sized wellness device. So, what was the pivotal moment or insights that made you pivot from aerospace into health tech?
Yeah, I mean, I never planned to get into health tech at all. It just my dog got sick about 27 years ago, and she couldn't come up the stairs, and she ended up having severe arthritis in her spine. So a veterinarian friend of mine said, my veterinarian said, there's not really anything we can do. Give her some Rimadyl for pain. A friend of mine who's a veterinarian said, hey, there's this energy frequency machine that can help reverse arthritis. And I'm like, really? And so I kind of looked into it, and that's how I got interested in it. Was I saw, so it was my dog being sick is how I got interested in it. So I dove into the technology. I'm pretty skeptical. I didn't really believe it, but then there's so many published papers. There's like 35,000 published papers. You start to look at the technology, and it's real. And then I saw that a lot of these machines were very expensive and were kind of held in clinical environments with doctors, so you couldn't get to them. The average person couldn't afford it. So I'm like, there's got to be a way to make an affordable portable device. And so I naively jumped into that, figuring I could design one. It was not easy, but now we have it. So that's kind of the path. Had no intent to really get into energy therapy and this space, but to answer your question, it was my dog that got me into it.
Amazing. So, tell us about the vibe. So according to you, which according to you is the world's only pocket-sized pulsed electromagnetic field device. So what does this device actually do?
Well, think about it from a higher level for a minute. It's energy therapy, and nothing in the world happens without an energy exchange. So you don't cook food, you don't drive a car, you don't breathe oxygen, you don't do anything. Nothing happens without you don't bang your finger with a hammer. Everything is an energy exchange. So energy can be put in the body with electrical current, magnetic fields, PEMF, which we're talking about here, light, sound, or vibration. And I just chose PEMF because it's the most convenient way to do it because there's no wires or anything on you. You can just put it in your pocket and go about your business. How it works, nobody knows how aspirin works either. We have theories, and there are a few things you can prove and some things you can't. But at the most fundamental level, what we do know is the cells on your in your body have an electrical charge, just like a car battery. And when that voltage gets low, you get sick. When the voltage is low, you can't get good nutrients into the cell and you can't get the waste products out. So it increases the voltage on the cell. So it's recharging your cell's batteries. And then the other thing is adenosine triphosphate, ATP. It's the main chemical that your cells use for food. And so this technology has been shown to increase ATP up to 500%. So it's recharging your cell's batteries. It's giving your cells the food, the buffet that they need so that your body can do what it does best, which is heal itself. That's how it works at the most fundamental.
So, tell us, Mark, how did your experience in the high-stake environment of aerospace engineering directly inform your approach to building and testing the Vibe device?
Yeah, I mean, it's just having a curious background. You know, being an engineer, I'm a chemical engineer, can be a little dangerous trying to do electronic stuff because it's not the same discipline, but there's the same thought patterns and stuff that you go through. So I teach a thing called Da Vinci and the 40 Answers. It's the last book that I wrote. Well, actually, I just finished a book today called Go Find Joy about anxiety. But the book before that was around business creative thinking. It's it's called TRIZ, the theory of inventive problem solving. TRIZ is a four-letter Russian acronym. And basically what they found out is there's only about 40 solutions to any problem in the world. So I've been teaching that for a long time. So how do you use the 40 lenses? Like lens one is segmentation, two is taking out. And how do you look at the problem or the engineering or the business process and apply one of those lenses to make it better? So I mean, what we did is what we took out was complexity, right? So it's not programmable. Doctors want a programmable one. I'm not giving it to them because I want a simple one that's alphabetical. Go like that, pick the one you want, hit play, put it in your pocket or wherever the land around your neck. So the simplicity of taking out to make it super simple was one. People want to make noise and have little alarms when it's done, and like, nope, 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 not doing any of that. The next product we made was Vega Vibe. It's a vagus nerve toner as a piece of jewelry that you put around your neck. And all you do with this is just turn it on and wear it around your neck. So this is the ultimate taking out. I took out everything. In fact, when I made the instruction video for this, I felt stupid because it's like, yeah, you turn it on and you wear it. That's it. There's nothing else to do. So that's just one of many, many things I looked at as simplicity. How do you take things out? Um, how do you borrow and look what other industries and other devices and things have done and make them better? Simple.
Well, that's really interesting. I mean, for everything you can actually think about, every device, every functioning machine, I would definitely be able to tell that simplicity is always better. So I think that's a really great transformation, really great work you did there. So tell us, Mark, what were the biggest challenge in miniaturizing this PEMF technology into that really small device, and how did you solve them from an engineering standpoint?
Naively went and said, this is a very simple concept, which it wasn't. So I went full circle. The actual protocols on the device, and I think I'm the only one that has one like this, are actually MP3 files. They're actually music files. So I used a music synthesizer, and I'm not a musician, and I just created the programs and created MP3 files. So what it really is the Vibe is actually a music player without speakers. So it's simple MP3 files that drive the program through a coil that makes a magnetic field. The biggest challenge was all the trade-offs. So you're going to wear it around your neck or in your pocket. So it's got to weighs 2.4 ounces. So it's got to be light. The coils got to work. It put out a lot of energy. Um, the coils were very hard to design. We went through piles and piles of different coils, number of wraps, and how thick the wire is, and how do you get and how not to get it too hot. So you can see it has ventilation holes because it still gets to like 105 Fahrenheit because it's producing a bunch of heat. Customers are like, hey, it has like 5-hour battery, 6-hour battery, and customers are like, I want a 20-hour battery. I was like, well, if it's a 20-hour battery, it would be a football, and you couldn't wear it around your neck. So the hardest thing is the trade-off, right? Weight, cost, heat dissipation, simplicity of the design. All those things are all trade-offs. None of them are, excuse me, 100% perfect. I wish I had a 10-hour battery too, but it'd be twice as heavy and be annoying on your neck. So to answer your question, it's just the combination of all the different features and variables and doing compromises to get the best overall product you can that's does what it needs to do.
Wow, that's amazing. So we know that safety is paramount in both aerospace and medical devices. So tell us, How did you engineer the Vibe to ensure that it is safe and its emissions are significantly lower than that of cell phone?
Yeah, the emissions thing has a super big misconception because people will go, "Hey, does this put out EMF?" And what they're asking is it harmful EMF? And yes, it puts out EMF because it's electromagnetic fields. And so does the sun, right? But the way I describe it is everyone's been to the dentist where you put on a lead apron because for the x-ray, because the energy frequency is so high, that's 10 to the 12th power. That's 12 zeros. This has 10 to the 1 power. It's between 1 and 1,000 hertz. So it's extremely, extremely low energy. That is 100,000 times higher frequency than this. So it's putting out energy, as I said earlier, that's healthy energy that's going in, recharging cells, batteries, and increasing ATP. Um, and it's a problem because we got customers that go get EMF readers and they freak out because it's showing EMF. Yeah, it is EMF, but how it measures and samples and stuff is most of the devices aren't designed for a pulse electromagnetic field. It's a ramp square wave. So that people kind of get weird about that. It's like, it is safe. The government has put out frequency versus magnetic intensity, and they have it, the higher the frequency, the less magnetic intensity you can have at the same safety level. But because the frequencies are so low, you can have up to 8 or 9 Gauss and it's still safe. So we're staying within the government guidelines.
Interesting. Can you just give us little walkthrough of the technical architecture of the Vibe? I mean, what does the internal design and component selection look like to achieve this functionality?
Yeah, again, it's actually a music player. So it's an MP3 player. And we talked about simplicity earlier. Those of you listeners, viewers that are old enough, I made it look like an old iPod. So familiarity and simplicity, but it is looks like a music player because it is a music player. It just doesn't play music that your ears hear. It plays music that your body absorbs. That's the main difference. So yeah, making familiarity and simplicity. Um, nowadays everyone wants a cool touch screen, but that added a lot of cost. Plus putting your finger on there and the electrical signal to move it around was interfering a little bit with potentially not interfering with the output of the device, but it's interfering with the navigation on the screen. So that's why I went back to a kind of old school button system, right? Something like that to look like the old iPod.
How does the principle of resonance, that which is of course a fundamental concept in physics and engineering, actually function as the core mechanism of action for the vibe?
Yeah, and so most everyone knows is everything vibrates. Everything has a natural frequency. You can take like your car fob and common sense when you go not common sense but common condition is like you press your car key to unlock your door. Why does it unlock your car and no other cars in the parking lot? Because that sending unit is resonating with the lock on the inside of your car, same as your garage door opener. So everything has kind of a natural frequency. And so it's resonating with the water in your body. And it's oversimplified, but there's frequency pairs that are changing every 1 to 4 minutes. Frequency A in the pair is kind of what's wrong with it. And frequency B is where is it? So it might be inflammation in the elbow, something like that. So that's what it is. It's really a music player without sound that you're hearing. It's energy that your body.
Interesting. So can you tell us, like, okay, of course, the Vibe, it's an health tech device. So which health solutions does it actually provide? And okay, to put it in a more broader way, who is the Vibe really for?
Everyone says this, but it is actually for everyone and people and pets. So we have a huge market with dogs and horses and cats as well. And everyone asks, so dogs and cats and horses have the same ailments we do, right? Anxiety, relax and balance. Um, Usually not sleep issues with dogs, but humans definitely have sleep issues. But general inflammation, pain, arthritis, asthma, blood sugar, diabetes, right? Most people think of people having type 2 diabetes. Animals, horses, and dogs have it as well. And so we have protocols on the device. There's 60 protocols. 5 of them can be repurposed for 70 other things. There's actually 130 different conditions it can give relief for. But those are the most popular ones: anxiety, PTSD or trauma, back pain, sleep, neck pain, blood sugar, those type of things. I won't name all 60 of them.
So that's pretty interesting. So tell us, Mark, for an engineer looking to transfer their skills into a completely different field like health tech, what's the most valuable lesson that you learned from your own transition and your journey with the vibe?
Yeah, I mean, so I didn't go direct from aerospace to this. I started 12 other companies. I did music and art from saliva and
Wow.
all kinds of different. So the bottom line is, and I actually own part of a women's clothing company. So what does rocket science have to do with women's clothing? It's all the same. Everyone's got the same problems. They've got logistics problems or engineering problems or supply chain or cash flow. So all the problems, they're not any different from industry to industry. They're the same basic stuff usually when you walk in. The biggest challenge really is not technical. The biggest challenge in this business is the marketing. So I would tell people, so I'm in a nonprofit organization where we have a lot of entrepreneurs come through, and we always ask these same 3 questions: what problem are you trying to solve? How many people have that problem, and why is your solution better than anyone else's? Those are and there's subsets to all those 3 questions, right? What problem are you trying to solve? How many people have that problem? Why is your solution better than anyone else's? But got smart enough. The first question I ask is, how much markup do you have from cost to retail? And if it's not 10x, quit, because Facebook ads cost 6, 7, 10 times more than the cost of the product, right? So the old school of make it for $1, wholesale it for $2, and retail for $4, you'll get murdered in the e-commerce space. You got to have a huge markup. So literally, the marketing is by far way more than the cost of the product, way more than the employee salaries. It's monstrous. Our marketing is probably 65 to 70% of top line revenue, where a normal company might be 3 to 5%, where 60 to 70. So it's not the technical challenge, it's the marketing challenge and making enough noise and not going broke because it's so expensive to make noise. So that's my
Wow.
message to any entrepreneurs: is stop and make sure you got enough markup before you waste your time. Because the other 12 companies I started, I didn't have enough markup. So they went out of business before I got started because I just didn't have enough money to market. And you can only spend
Interesting.
$100 so much before, if you're spending 100 on marketing and you're losing 100 on each, 50 on each device, you end up killing the product for business pretty fast. So that is like the first lesson I tell people: is go do your research. What can you you can't just double the price of it. You got to go, what will the market actually pay for this? Then back into that, do I have a 10x markup to give Mark Zuckerberg all of my money? Because Facebook is going to slaughter you as far as costs.
If you could give uh, somebody in technical profession, somebody like, let's say, an engineer, a scientist, or a developer, somebody who wants to utilize their scientific or technical skills and channel it into entrepreneurship, if you could give them just one advice, so tell us, Mark, what would it be?
Yeah, just make sure 2 things. Make sure you get the minimal viable product out as fast as you can. Don't spend a bunch of time and money on it. Famous story with the Palm Pilot in the old days. Guy had a wooden block and a toothpick. Okay. Don't spend too long developing a bunch of things. Get it out right. Do that fast. And how can you fail in 2 weeks? So I say that all the time: is don't procrastinate. You don't need a 1 year study. What can you do in 2 weeks that could further the advancement of the idea? Because the number one reason ideas fail, they never get started. That is the number one reason in creativity: is you get in the way of yourself and you're making it too complicated. For example, I screwed up really bad one time. I invented a company for change drug testing so that you could have urine in a cup and then you take a mouse swab and you match the DNA, and then nobody can fake urine, right? So I went into this whole thing assuming that would be fantastic. In the end, nobody in the drug testing industry cares about changing it. They don't care about being more efficient. They're not trying to save money. They just don't care. So it's like, all right, I wasted a year of my life building DNA sequencing and matching urine to saliva and learn my own lesson there. It's like the minimum viable product. I needed to just go out and talk to more people before I built anything and said, does anyone want this? Is this a problem that needs a solution, or is it a solution look for a problem that doesn't exist? So I screwed up myself doing that.
That's a really great one there. So, going back to the vibe, looking beyond just the hardware, what does the firmware and software layer of the vibe control look like, and how does it contribute to the overall user experience and the effectiveness of the design?
Yeah, it's just uh, the engineering stuff. I actually don't know the specifics. They're just using off the shelf library stuff for designs and stuff for printed circuit boards to make a music player. So R&D stands for ROB, or for research and development, but it can also stand for rob and duplicate, which means go find something, modify it for your needs. I don't actually know, to answer your question honestly, but I guarantee they did not design that circuit board from complete scratch. They looked at MP3 players, what is out there in the library, take that and modify. I'm sure that's what we did, and then we just changed chips and did a couple things that got too hot. But it's building on, it's like standing on the shoulders of other giants. I think that was Newton said that, right? Is like it's taking stuff that's already out there. You're not inventing it from scratch. You're modifying it to meet your needs. And that's kind of what TRIZ is, I mentioned earlier. Somebody somewhere has already solved your problem. Okay, that's the fundamental thing of TRIZ. Somebody else somewhere has already solved it. You just need to find it and modify it for your needs. So it's called business topology. And you just, like I said, own a women's clothing company. The inventory systems I put in there were no different than inventory systems in the space shuttle program, right? It's fundamental stuff that you just take what you learn here and apply it to another company or another design.
Oh, wow, that's an interesting one there. So, Mark, if you could go back to the beginning of Vibe's development with your current knowledge, what would be that one decision that you would make differently?
I wish I would have had the MP3 concept before I started, because we started from scratch and I didn't have that thought in my mind of how to use music players. So the designs were big and bulky, caught on fire, and they didn't work. I just wish I would have thought of the MP3 solution ahead of time. Another one, and for your engineering folks, so this is, because I'm proud of this. This is one of the smartest things I've ever done. When it has 40 hertz and 116 mixed coming out of it, how do you prove it's putting out the right frequencies? So I have oscilloscopes, you can't really see that. I have data analyzers, you can't really see. It's hard. It's hard to see mixed frequencies, to know that that's 40 and 116 mixed. In the middle of the night, one night, I'm like, it doesn't have a speaker, but it moves it makes a little bit of sound because the coils are moving air slightly. There's no diaphragm or anything like a speaker. It dawned on me, I was like, okay, the human ear can hear 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. So if I actually, as I said, it's an MP3 file. If I actually played Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven and I can hear the song clearly, that means it's putting out the correct frequencies. So that is actually where quality control in the production is. When you put a static magnet up to it, it's going to amplify this. So the quality control for every single device is they put a magnet against it and they play a song, and their human ear recognizes it. It's the song that you're familiar with. So now you know it's soldered, put together correctly, everything's working, because it's putting out a song that's very complex, because you get guitar, drums, singer, vocals, bass, all of that out of a song. That's a huge mix of frequencies. Where here we just have two frequencies that are changing every 1 to 4 minutes. So anyway, I love that idea because I came up with a zero cost solution for quality control instead of buying oscilloscopes and data analyzers that I could never use to do that purpose anyway. I could never prove. Maybe somebody else could, but I wasn't smart enough with the data analyzer to see 40 hertz and 116. I just saw a mess. So yeah, that's one that's, and again, I got that from my own TRIZ stuff, is back to Mechanical substitution is actually one of them. So it's like, okay, how do I substitute something instead of a data analyzer to be able to know the frequencies are coming out of there? And then I just dawned on me, I can listen to it with my ears. That's what we do. That's what we do still today in the factory.
That's amazing. So, finally, Mark, part of the theme of this podcast is centered around innovation. So, for that reason, I like to ask every guest one particular question before we wrap this session up. So, tell us, what does innovation mean to you, and how does it relate to your field? I mean, in the intersection of physics, hardware, engineering, and human wellness in general, and even entrepreneurship.
Innovation's not being afraid. Don't listen to the status quo. Um, I just in my book I've already talked about this. The advantage I have over a doctor, I'm not a doctor, is a doctor can't make a mistake 9 out of 10 times. I can, right? So I'm allowed to test and do stuff faster, and a doctor can't. So it's going to allow, because in the medical world, any new technology, if it ever makes it to the medical world, it's going to take 15 years, and 99.999% of them don't. So just thinking different, and it's kind of an interesting thing is if you go look at Nobel Prize winners, a large majority of them won their award in a field that they're not educated in, right? Like they're in biology and they learned something in physics. Or Kerry Mullis won the Nobel Prize for polymerized chain reaction. He's not a biologist, he's a chemist. So it's just like thinking outside the box. How can I apply this different? And what I said earlier, rob and duplicate. Every innovator in the world has built whatever they did on top of somebody else's stuff. Nobody did it. If they told you they came up with it all on their own, they lied, or they're delusional because they don't remember where they saw it. You know, Mark Twain used to say all the time, here's how you become an excellent writer. You read, 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 then go write and forget where you read it, right? You just building on other stuff. And that's what innovation really is. It's building on things that already exist, not starting.
That's a really interesting one, I'd have to say. So, to conclude, Mark, so tell us, where can listeners go learn more about your work, your products, the vibe, maybe contact you to ask general questions or how to get
Yes.
access to your products?
The website is Resona, Resona. It's short for resonance that we talked about earlier. So just Resona.health. There's no .com in it, so it's a .health domain. So just go to Resona.health. If you got any questions, what is unique about this industry and my company, I have phone numbers. We talk to people. We answer the phone. We have email. I have a great support team. So if they have, and there's a lot of information on the website, they can go research that. And they got any questions, you ask about. Most people have questions about it because it's some voodoo thing that their doctor doesn't know anything about, most of them. And it's something new to them, even though it's been around for magnetic therapy, by the way, has been around since Hippocrates, 3500 BC. So it is not new. PEMF, it's been around for about 120 years, but still, it's not mainstream for doctors yet, for most of them, because the, the medical industry is all around drugs and surgery. It's not around alternative therapies for health, unfortunately.
Amazing. So, Mark, it's been a really wonderful conversation with you, and I'm really excited to have you on the show today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. That was fun. I appreciate it.